eat. I don't even know what I just ate. Oh. It's good though.
What are you doing? What is he doing? What are you doing on this eating?
This is a charcuterie board. And,
Your face is over it.
but it was left over from Christmas. And I figured we got to keep our social distancing. Am I right? Am I right, fellas?
So you're
Yes.
snacking social.
So you're all going to get some sooner or later.
Oh, you're taking over there.
And I'll go
Hey,
ahead.
great to have you along on the air. Sully, Little Tommy, Rusty
good.
Nailz.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Oh my
Year.
God.
God, it
We
better
made
be-
it. How was your boy? First of all, I know we talked about breaking and entering Christmas when we did one of the best ofs, but
Yes.
Wow.
great job on the break. Maybe one of your best ones ever. I hate to tell you
think
that.
so.
And it was a parade. It was one of the best ones that you did. I mean, it
You
was
know,
fantastic, and that
and-
family was really appreciative.
And Buddy the Elf was there, Russ.
fun.
That was nice that you were there. And Sully, you're going to be there next year.
I was working on Kogo.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, and we did take care of that
You
family.
know what's great to think about that though is that you still have that poll with hundreds of people still. Your show isn't even on the air anymore.
How's that
You know,
I don't want to
you know,
remind you of that, but
it's about relationships, and I've had some great relationships over the years, and they've stayed with me. And because of KUSI,
Yeah.
and because of iHeartRadio, I still talk to people.
before we start the show,
Yeah,
can I just say something? I've been on the air with Rusty Nailz on radio for the better part of 26 years.
Yeah.
And I've been on TV with him for 13.
Long time.
And him eating on air right now do you know what I call this?
What?
Tuesday. like this is not an anomaly.
This is the best part.
You eat on air more than you don't eat on air.
That's okay. We'll get an editing. Can you take a close-up of this gingerbread? Because again, it was Christmas leftover gingerbread man that I am going to sample.
You know, Russ, you may need to be the new unknown eater. Remember what was his? Was it Bill Griffith? Was he the unknown eater?
Jack White?
Jack White was there. Remember the unknown eater? Why don't you do that again? You're always eating on camera anyway.
As soon as restaurants open, I will totally go out to them and eat there. No.
I think they need to have a new unknown eater
was a
because
good one.
look, could you imagine in this environment where, and let me put my business hat on here, 24% of our economy is hospitality, including restaurants and such. Eating out is a different thing now. We're socially distanced.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just, during the second lockdown, it was just food to go for a while. Then the outdoor, and then the outdoor and limited indoor. That's a whole different. You could do a whole best drive-through thing.
And I think I just set a record for breaking my New Year's resolution. I was gonna do egg whites and avocado for a couple of weeks. But
Can we get the show started and
Yeah.
not just eat
yeah.
the whole time because it's a brand new year and the show is just going to get better and better as it always does. We are going to have live music come back
Yes.
As we're getting safer and safer here. But
in the meantime, I got us covered for today, folks. Don't worry, I'll take care of you, Bobby. Huh? Oh, you're gonna love this.
yeah, okay. Russ will play a couple of songs, a couple of seconds of a couple of songs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Two great guests today. We've got Kacey McKinnon, of course, who literally has held everything together during Good Morning America.
Good Morning, San Diego.
Or Good Morning San Diego.
Yeah.
Pardon.
In America.
They'll fix it.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Long story short, though, is that she's held everything together during Good Morning San Diego in a time that was tough to do that job. You have to
Real
admit.
tough.
And she cut her teeth in this business in the middle of COVID. Also, one of my favorite guys in the world, who I met actually doing radio as an interview, and then we became friends, and then we've become beyond friends, and we talked business and everything else. Mike Hess Brewing in studio today.
There's more to love than just Mike Hess.
So can we get started with with Kacey McKinnon?
Yeah.
You ready?
I have a new intercom. Listen to this.
All right, let's go.
Yo, Casey!
wow, I had one of those.
Casey!
My dad had one of those. Oh my God! Look at that! That color just popped. Come on, no.
Would you agree?
I know it. This is the
Look
new
at you!
studio.
Look at you all grows up.
All sparkly,
grown up.
all grown
I mean,
up.
honestly, think about this. You basically.
Didn't you coach her in softball when
That
she
was
was like
I'm
4?
not talking about
When
that.
I was
We're
like
s-
that
yeah.
big?
Yeah.
We're so far beyond that. But I'm just look at what you've done in your career in the middle of the worst year possible. I mean, was that the craziest thing when you walked in thinking, I'm going to be in broadcasting? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
right
be
when the
7 feet
pandemic
away.
started, I'm like, let's go on TV.
Let's do that every morning. Oh my! And you keep smiling, you keep coming up, you look fresh. You don't act like I would in this situation. Like again, another restaurant closed or another gym is outdoor. I mean, you're doing a lot of similar stories. How do you do that?
Well, during this time, it's just telling people stories and allowing
yeah.
them to share their story. Giving them a voice is really the biggest part of all of this right now.
I hear a ton of people show up at these places when you do like a bakery or donut shop or whatever. All of a sudden, there's a line out the door for
When the
product.
phone starts ringing, that's when we know we did something right.
Right.
But
yeah.
you know what? I've always wanted to ask you this because we're in a, like Russ doesn't even believe that that the wires that go out here actually go anywhere. He just thinks we're doing this for the 17 people in the studio.
Well, yeah, because you have a charcuterie board.
Yeah, would you like
Russ
some?
just
She
came
wants
here for
none of
lunch
that.
today.
Come on.
But my point is that we interview people in studio. You're out there at their businesses, and this was a tough year, or that was a tough year, I should say. And the long story short is you get to see them when they're like off air, trying to hold
Yeah.
it together. Is that tough to see? Because some of those businesses aren't around anymore.
I can give you one example. How about that? We've visited one restaurant, family-owned business, Richard Walker's Pancake House.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's just one of them out of the many, many that we've covered.
Is this the original Pancake House? Is that the one in San Diego? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Richard
The
Walker's.
father, son, always
Father,
together.
son, they're always together, junior and senior.
Junior looks a little worried. Dad's always kind of happy. Just,
Their relationship is so funny to me because senior's always cracking jokes and junior's just, Dad, come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we were in their downtown location just the other day, and it was just filled with all of the stuff that they've purchased to make everything work during the pandemic.
And then all of a sudden-
everything that they've spent all their money on,
Yeah.
all the plexiglass, the tables, the heaters is just piled into their little restaurant. And they're like, this is it for
The mini
us.
storage area now.
Yeah, it really
Well, you know,
is.
that-
I
That's
heard
the
you
one
talk
thing-
about that the other
Yeah.
day. It's like, this is like a mini storage now. You have to,
It really
keeping
is.
all your stuff in here.
You can't even walk.
Oh.
Well, that's what I think people forget about there's the business side of this thing is when you follow all the rules and stuff, and when you shut down a restaurant, it's not like you can take all the food and just put it in the living room.
Right. I'll just put this
Right?
in the drawer.
I mean,
till
some of the
3
food
weeks
will
from
keep,
now.
but like but most of the stuff is just going to toss out or give it out, donate it, and then pay for it all over again when they open up again. What's been the funnest interview so far this year for you? Because there has been a lot of fun out there. I mean, it hasn't all been worrisome.
Well, driving go-karts is always fun.
Yeah.
Lions, tigers, and bears is always
All
fun.
right.
Where you can hear a lion roar from a mile away. You
Right.
just think it's right behind you.
Well, I want to say this. I'm proud of you because I remember the very first day you were on the air. It's been over a year now.
Yeah, I was holding a snake. That's what
What?
That's
You
what
went
we
from
knew it
not
was meant
being
to
on the
be.
air to holding a snake on there in one day.
But
Thanks to Tommy.
But I remember watching you that very first, those very first days.
Wow.
And then the other day I was watching you and I was saying, oh my gosh, like you're New York worthy. Like you're able
Oh,
to.
you are.
You're able to.
Get out of town.
Wow.
You're able to, your network. And I've watched you progress. And I just want to say it's cool to see
Well,
that.
for folks that didn't see you when you first came on here on this show, when you first came on, give us the background when you decided I wanted to be on the air, and tell us that first time again, like the first time you decided.
Well, it's always been a dream
Okay.
of mine to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I finally was in the sports department and didn't really feel like this is what I'm made to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to a couple people and we worked. I trained behind Allie Wagner and her photographer Kevin Coffin at the time, and she trained me to, this is easy, you got it, you got
Right,
it, you
right.
got it. And
But
I
it's anything but
and
easy,
I was
though.
not good. I would
That's
forget
not
where
accurate.
I was every second of the day, and then
and you would practice. And you would practice.
I would practice. I got the best advice from my grandfather. Go talk to yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And look at yourself talking and listen, get comfortable listening to your voice. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
a couple months went by, and here I am standing at Helen Woodward with puppies and snakes in my hand, and I'm just having the best time ever.
Do you get nervous at all now? I mean, it's okay. Let's
Like a
face it.
snake's going to bite her or a politician's going to beat her up or
Well,
something?
it's 4:30 in the morning, right? And you're getting ready to go, and you
Oh, that's
realize,
true.
okay, and you already know I got to go here, 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 and here. Do you ever get nervous at all, like at all, or is it just now it's down to business?
It's down to business.
That's
Once it hits 6 o'clock sharp,
Yeah.
it's down to business.
That's it.
Less distractions now that, because crazy
Well, no
people.
one's outside.
Well, that's true. That's true. No one can
No
leave their
one's
house. Yeah.
I actually would get nervous for her. Because
yeah, yeah.
because
Tommy texted me even this morning. He texted me, "Hey, you got it? You good?" I'm like, "Tommy, I got it. I'm gonna put you on Do Not Disturb."
He does that to me
That's funny.
too.
And I know you're going to a lot of restaurants and stuff. What is Paul Rudy's favorite thing for you to bring back?
Anything.
Really, anything, just a nice.
Really anything.
And they do. They load you up with donuts or whatever. I'm loving that. I got to get
There's
in.
always donuts in the room, in the newsroom, thanks
Right.
to Tommy Supply. But we bring back what we can. During these
That's so
times, it's
funny.
really hard to hey, can I have that?
Yeah.
And a lot of restaurants they don't even have food right now because they're all shutting
Right.
down.
And it's you fit in really well with those guys. That's such a fun morning team, with Mark
Are there
Mathis.
some guests
Hey.
that are more fun to have than others?
Huh? Like your maybe a business report. Mark Mathis and
Or
Sully.
Buddy the Elf.
Or Buddy.
Okay, I have a question for you because you need to talk about this. I did meet you because I was your softball coach. What? 20 years ago? 15 years ago? How many years ago was it, honestly? 15?
Probably
15?
15,
15 years ago.
16.
So
Was she good?
Oh, she was out. My kid and her kid were the best two kids on the team.
Yeah.
She was amazing. But and the deal is though, that's the last time I ever saw her play softball for that 6 months in my life. That turned out to be a definition point for you. You turned out to be an unbelievable college athlete in a number of areas. Talk about your high school sports because
Softball didn't start my career.
I know it didn't, but still, sports
But
did.
I went
though.
on to play soccer, rode horses competitively, and then started playing lacrosse in late 8th grade. I showed up with shin guards on. I had no idea what I was
Yeah,
doing.
I did that with yoga. I showed up with new tennis shoes on, and I didn't know you did it almost naked.
So lacrosse, you're a big lacrosse
Yeah.
athlete.
Yeah.
I got recruited to play at North Carolina, and I played for 2 years there until an injury stopped me from playing. But I still got to live with all the girls. It was the best experience
Oh, that's my
I've
dream.
ever had.
Yeah, that's great.
And that was a big piece. That was a
Yeah.
big piece of you going to broadcasting, right? Because you started off in the sports department.
Yeah.
Because you were such a sport. Are you still a sports fan?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Not really a Cowboys fan this year.
Uh-oh, yeah.
but We're
Hey,
not
wait a
going to
minute.
get into that one.
Hey, wait, going back to North Carolina, did you guys win? Did you guys win a championship or anything?
Yeah, my freshman year, we were ACC runner-ups. So we lost that year, but then 2016,
There it is, baby.
we
Oh, look at
won
that.
the national championship and the ACC championship. So I wear my ACC one.
Can you hold that up
every single
for
day.
Action Jackson
It
on that camera right there?
Doesn't come off my hand. I don't even know if it could if I
That's
tried
impressive.
to get it off.
That's impressive. And of course, Molly, our floor director, is showing up here with a number of
course,
with a number
A
of
few
items.
other
We
trophies.
got the hats.
Right.
Oh, look
so
at that.
This is our runner-up trophy from 2015.
Who'd you guys lose to?
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Nice one.
Jim
Tommy.
Gray.
There you go.
Nice job, Jim
Bring it
Gray.
down. Bring it down.
Wait a minute, she said
I believe
runner-up.
it was Syracuse.
All right.
Oh, they suck.
Doesn't
And
really
then
matter.
Here's our hat from 2016, and then this is what I didn't bring last time. So
Yeah.
I had to bring my Super Bowl ring.
What?
What is that?
Give
What
me
is that one?
Give me an extreme
That's
close-up.
2020 National Championship. We defeated Maryland.
Awesome.
Or 2020, 2016. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, you see yourself on the sidelines at all, like a reporter from in the sports world, branching back over into that, in a national level, like you're saying. Go to New York. Get out of here.
Well, a lot of people ask me that.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, you asked it. Yeah, you do.
You do.
I'm really comfortable doing anything, but right now I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change a thing right
Local.
now.
And you're still very young.
I just started. It's been almost a little over a year.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful that I am able
Love
to
the
do it.
smile.
Casey, where you're at right now, if you could do exactly what you're doing for the rest of your career, would that make you happy? Or do you have, like, sometimes thinking, hey, I want to sit at the desk every once in a while, or
Here we go.
I want to interview Buddy the Elf every once in a while, or I want to have Tommy produce for me in the morning. I mean, honestly, are you kind of where you think you could be satisfied forever?
Well, it's always good to move up in the world.
Sure.
But right now, I love being able to meet new people, learn
Yeah.
something new every single day, and be all around San Diego County. I mean, we're really all over the county.
Sure.
And I'm having so much fun doing that right now.
Are you finding
I
cool-
don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
But
Cool
right
spot-
now, I'm very satisfied.
Cool spots that you've kind of discovered at work. You're going, I didn't know that, there was Potato Chip Mountain or whatever, this trail was out here.
Is there a Potato Chip Mountain?
Yeah, it's out
I
there.
believe it's
rock.
called
Whatever,
Potato
rock,
Chip
whatever.
Rock.
But I mean, places like that you came
You wouldn't
across.
know.
As he
He's never
sits in
hiked
front of
it.
Potato
I
Chip
don't.
Mountain.
I'm not walking out there to sit on a potato chip. I will eat the potato chip and dream about it. But places
You'd
like
never
that.
make it.
Hey, where
found.
did the love for the military come from in you?
Just being American. I mean, those guys put their lives on the line for us to be who we are today. I don't think there's any better answer than
Right.
that.
No, there's not. Plus, plus our military town here, and you guys do such a great job at getting out there. I have to ask you, and I've had people ask me to ask you and Allie this.
Where'd you get that jacket?
How does
That's the question.
How does it start? Like when you guys, Sunday afternoon comes around, and now you got 5 days of 30 interviews total or something like that over the course of 5 days. How does that happen? Like, pull the covers back behind the scenes. How do you know who you're going to interview? How do you prep for that? And so you have a producer.
Not always, but
tell people how that
Tommy's
works.
my savior when I don't have something at 7 o'clock. I'm like, well, in about 10 hours, I have to be somewhere. Tommy, what do I do? But then other times, during these unprecedented times, people are reaching out to us like, hey, we need help. Like, is there any chance you can come support us? And when we do that, those are normally the best interviews I've ever done, just because these people have something meaningful that they want to share.
And those interviews you decide to do, is that at that point you start researching and such. And how many different ones do you do a day? Because obviously I'm on the air when you're on the air.
It's got to be.
I mean, you like
3
4
or
or 5
4
different
a day.
I mean, that's a ton of interviews.
Or at
How do
least
you
a
prep
week.
for all
we
that
do
stuff?
2 locations a day.
Yeah.
So we'll spend 2 hours at one spot and then drive to the next spot and do 2 to 3 to 4 interviews.
Do you ever wake up and you have nothing on the list? Like the 2 guys. I mean, we've all had on air here.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
had people cancel at the
We
last
have to
minute
banter a little.
Yeah, and I mean, do you ever have to sit out there and say, as the light goes on and your guest isn't there yet, do you ever have to tap dance and vamp your way?
Yeah,
through
we're
a
here at
segment?
Potato
Has
Chip
that ever
Mountain.
happened to you?
That's happened to me a few times, but we're
Yeah.
pretty good. Our producers are pretty good about helping us out. Like, hey, I've got nothing. What
Right.
do you want me to do?
Right.
Shout out to Tommy Sablon and Andrea for that one.
And throw you a couple questions too. That's always handy.
She's a great interviewer.
Well, she is a great interviewer, and that's what I was going to ask you because one thing I've noticed is your interviewing technique has gotten fantastic, and I'm wondering
Smooth
maybe
as a gravy sandwich.
Well, exactly. And I'm wondering when we come back, if we could maybe have, Kacey show us a little bit about
How to do
interview
it.
prowess. So I thought our next guest, Mike Hess, from Hess Brewing, could come in. Maybe do we have one of those mics? Do we have one of those mics
Yeah.
on the boom?
We'll set you up.
Do you ever a boom mic?
Sure.
And like maybe
No mask,
Are
get
you
the
willing to do
stick.
that for us?
Absolutely.
All right.
Talk about beer.
Podcast 101.
You guys got great beer.
There's number one.
Yes, we do. On the air, Kacey McKinnon from KUSI. What a great show.
Potato Chip Mountain. I swear, there's right over there by Burrito. The sun is hot and this old clock is moving slow. Hell, so am I. Workday passing just like molasses in the wintertime. But it's July. Getting paid by the hour, older by the minute. Boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call in something, I think I'll just call it a day. Pour me something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before I go insane. It's only 12:30, but I don't care. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's over. Hey, Russ and little Tommy, let's throw it over to our field reporter, Kacey McKinnon, here on the Loft 100 Studios at ODA. Kacey, back to you.
Happy New Year, San Diego. I am Kacey McKinnon. We are in studio at On the Air, and normally I would have some type of broomstick or boom mic and
Got it. I think I got you covered here.
thank you. Now can I continue?
Yeah, please do.
All right.
Here we go.
Here we go. So you all know that one beer that you love to drink so much that has Mike Hess written all over the front of it? Well, you're in luck because we finally get to put a face to that can. Mike, good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. What have you been up to? How has the pandemic affected the stuff that you do around town?
Yeah, the pandemic has had almost no effect on us at all. We just breezed right through it, no problem. Obviously, kidding. No, it's actually been 2020 was a brutal year.
You know what? I got it.
Oh yeah, let the professional take over. 2020 was a pretty brutal year. You know, we were open and shut 5 or 6 different times. We had all kinds of different operating rules to work under. We had to cut a lot of crew and then rehire a lot of crew. We got to see how much enterprise flexibility we had. We pivoted into hand sanitizer. But the one thing that we were able to do, I think, through the years, remain mission true, which is bringing people together over great beer around great causes.
Can I just say, okay, come on, Kacey,
And cut.
we could never do that. Mike Hess, welcome to the program. Come on over here.
Hey, all right.
Kacey,
Thank you.
Love Kacey.
here you go. Will you come back with us and hang out with us a lot, please? Kacey McKinnon.
In what order? In what order do you love us all?
Yeah.
Let's just say Tommy, Sully, and
What?
then Russ.
All right, that does it. I'm going after Kacey McKinnon, fantastic.
Thanks, thanks.
Casey.
Don't let the door hit you. There she goes, okay?
And just like that,
Hey.
honestly, that is not easy to do.
No.
By the way. That's not an easy one to do. Look at this. Hess is in the room.
What's up?
Hey, can I say this about Mike Hess?
Yes.
I know of you. We've met many times, but I don't know your story. But every time I talk to someone about you, they say, Mike Hess has the most incredible story. And
It's true.
I hope we find that out right now.
All started in a trash can and a Sparkletts bottle in a garage somewhere in Sacramento. No?
No, that's
Different guy.
Similar.
I know part of the story. You started drinking beer.
Yeah, I did. I actually,
how it started.
so I was a student at University of Colorado when the very first what became Rock Bottom Restaurants opened up in Boulder as Walnut Brewery. That was my first real exposure to craft beer. They opened up their first brew pub on Walnut in the downtown area of Boulder, and I went there and I loved it.
As a bartender or on that side of the
No,
bar?
I was
where you look
definitely on the. I was
you look
definitely
so
on the.
very comfortable
yeah,
right
I
now.
was definitely on this side of the bar for sure. Yeah, loved it. And actually, Johnny Oliphant, who's at Coronado now, was the original brewmaster at that original what's now Rock Bottom Restaurant.
When you were in college, did you sit down and say to myself, I know what I want to do. I'm going to make beer.
Since I'm drinking so much of it.
Definitely never happened. Definitely never happened. We drank a lot of lousy beer in college because there wasn't any craft beer. I mean, I graduated a long time
Remember
ago.
Lucky Lager?
Brew 102. There's another one.
I mean, back in the day, Rolling Rock, that was fancy beer.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
How did you go from college in Colorado to San Diego to starting a brewery?
Well, I took like a 7 or 8 year bypass to the East Coast because I was Navy ROTC. So I was a Navy officer stationed out in
God bless
Norfolk.
you.
And then I went from Norfolk to Philly. And I was on a ship that was dry docked up there, the Kennedy. And on my birthday in 1995, I got a homebrew kit and I started brewing at my apartment.
Wait a minute.
Got a homebrew
Wait,
kit?
no, see, this is how we glossed over that?
Yeah.
In 1995 for your birthday,
Yes,
the day before, you didn't have, what's the word I'm looking for? A homebrew
Homebrewing
kit.
kit.
that's true.
The day of your birthday,
You got one.
1995, you got a homebrew kit.
That's right.
And that's exactly where the story starts.
Yeah, that's kind
'Cause
of
I
an
know
easy
ya.
place to put that mark on there, right? It was on September 15th, 1995, I started my brewing career.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so what was the first batch you made? What would you remember it?
I honestly don't. I think it was some sort of pre-hopped amber. I don't really remember adding hops. I remember fermenting it in a closet.
And then you woke up there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. My first batch and 2 or 3 were good though. I remember I made a batch of like a raspberry wheat because that was popular back then.
From the kit? From that kit?
From the kits.
Now,
yeah.
is the kit something you open up and it's there, or is it
Is
something
it like
you have to put-
Kool-Aid? You rip open the
Like,
top, add
I
3 cups
don't
of
know what
sugar?
you- Like, what is a kit?
So a kit basically is you get like a extract syrup, right? It's like very heavy, like molasses almost thickness. It's basically malt syrup, right? So somebody's taken a
Okay.
beer, they've condensed it down, and then you essentially reconstitute it, just like dehydrated food type of thing.
Just
except
add water.
more or less just add water, boil, ferment it, and if you
Yeah.
do the whole process clean, you'll get a drinkable product out at the end. And
This isn't a dorm room you were doing
No,
this
no,
in?
no,
Your
no,
bed or something? What the hell? Jail cell.
I was stationed on the ship. It was in a fan room. No, just
Sure,
kidding.
big
I was. Since we were in dry dock on the ship, we were all off ship. Nobody lived on board the
okay,
ship, and so I had an apartment out in town in Philadelphia, and that's where I brewed.
And nothing says home brewery like actually brewing at home, right? So you actually brewed this.
Yeah.
Now, so from there, of course, all your friends, you wanted them to try your beer.
Yes.
And they started saying, hey, this is pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Was that really?
Well,
was
that's
that-
actually what happened. So I made that raspberry wheat, right? Which,
Right.
again, those were kind of like the blueberry beers,
Very
strawberry beers.
creative,
Those things
Mike
were
Hess.
very popular back then. And
Yeah.
I remember I made up a batch of this beer, and I drove it down to Norfolk because Big Head Todd was playing at a club.
Big
in,
Head Todd, the
And the
Monsters.
Monsters,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
He did have a big
Fantastic.
head.
Well, and they were
Find
a
some of that for you.
CU band, and I saw them play on campus probably 50 times for free when I was a student
great.
there, right? Anyway, I drove down. We went to the concert. I brought down the cases of beer, and all my friends loved it. And I was like, I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm gonna stick with this.
This is amazing.
Beer, live music, San Diego.
The 90s.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But wait, Who got you that kit?
Don't hang
Pause
on.
right there.
Hang on to that.
Who got you that kit?
Exactly.
We'll be back after station.
Hang on to that. By the way, I knew that he was a big head Tom. Big head Tom fan.
Yeah.
We were gonna go. We couldn't get into Belly Up or something.
Yeah.
Mike Hess.
I love those guys.
Oh boy, Grimm Street, Miramar Tasting Room, and this little place called IB. We'll talk about the whole story coming up and find out Tommy's question. Who bought the first brew kit for Mike Hess
Yes.
in 1995? Stand by. I want
I hear that train coming around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time is dragging on. But the train keeps on rolling on down to San Antonio.
Yeah! On the air, baby. Wow, Russ could actually play one, huh?
A little bit.
Has Nailz ever played at one of your places yet? Do you guys have a lot? Other than we've done
we've done the show
well,
there,
we've done a
yeah.
show there. He's got a guitar, but do you guys
Yeah.
ever do like a thing in the corner?
He's not, no, and I would love to. You know, that was actually one of the restrictions we had on our license was no live music. I said, well, what about a guy just playing the guitar in the corner? And like, that's live music. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, what about a guy just playing in the corner?
Tommy had a great question for you, which is amazing because of this demarcation day of September 15th.
That's right.
1995. Let me
Yes.
write that down.
You're
Write that
very
down.
successful.
All right, I just gotta
You're a very successful, businessman. So who got you that brew kit?
You know what, I was an old friend that I used to hang out with a lot when I was living in Philly that I lost touch with that,
Okay.
Maybe I could track him down through Facebook or something and say, hey, by the way,
Yeah, thanks
don't know
for that.
if you know that spun out, and because it was 15 years later before I opened up the brewery. But I mean,
Wow.
But did you buy the second yourself, the second brew kit?
yeah, because I went down into
just started buying the
the
brew
shop
kits.
was called Home Sweet Homebrew. I hope they're still there. I went into Home Sweet Homebrew.
That's great.
And I was, chatting it up with the guy like, okay, what does this all mean? How's it work? That
Okay,
type of thing.
so we go from your friends like your raspberry wheat amber stout thing,
Yes,
which by the
exactly.
way sounds like someone that Russ dated for a while. But so how do you
Amber
go from there
Stout.
to
Amber Stout was on KSON, I think.
That's exactly right. Really?
Yeah.
When did it go from I'm going to give my friends free beer and have them say nice things to me too, I'm going to sell beer now? Like what? I know there's a circuit, but
Yeah, I gave away a lot of beer. So I was a pretty prolific home brewer. I mean, I brewed a lot. And I started brewing really a lot in the 2000s. Like when I came out here to San Diego in 97, probably by 2002 when I met Linda, my wife, I started brewing. We moved into a house that had a garage. Now I had a place to expand the hobby.
That's a workbench right there.
Yeah, well, you get out of the kitchen and you get into a place where you have space. And then you can really go places with the hobby. And I'm one of those guys that once you get into a hobby, whether it's mountain biking or making beer or fly fishing, whatever, you get really, really into it, So that was, it just expanded.
Can I just ask, how long does it take when you're at home to brew a beer like that?
Same amount of time as it does in the brewery.
So how many weeks is it?
Well, the actual brewing process itself is like 6 to 8 hours, depending on how, your system is.
Hours?
Yeah. But then the fermentation.
How do you tell your girlfriend at the can hey, hon, I'll be out in the garage for 6 to 8 hours
today.
Well, it's like you guys who go golf, right? If you're going to go golfing, you're going to blow the whole day. So you blow the whole day, but this time you're in the driveway, at least they can come out and talk to you.
I'd rather make beer.
And at that time, it's still a hobby.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a hobby all the way till 2009-ish and 10 when we opened the brewery.
When was there that moment when it wasn't a hobby, when you said to yourself, wow, I can do this?
So, I think that moment happened in the summer of 10 when we literally opened up the door to see if all my friends who had been getting beer for free for all these years, and there was a lot of them, who all encouraged me to open up a brewery now and said, hey, it's $5.
Yeah.
And we opened up the roll-up door in Miramar in that summer of 2010.
And you're good friends with my nephew, Brian, and I'm sure he was in the front of that line.
Absolutely. He was one of the guys who brewed with me
Yeah.
once or twice, and then I had to fire him because he kept dropping stuff that broke. And he actually, to be fair, he took himself out of the picture also. He's like, I can't keep doing this.
Russ.
Get But, you know, so he encouraged me. He said, yeah, you should do it and whatever. But, you know, I mean, I still have some friends who still get free beer.
Hey,
But, but most people pay.
Let's stop down on the brewery business in San Diego just for a minute, because San Diego is widely regarded as one of the craft brewery cities in the whole world.
Sure is.
And to date, right now, I think there's 165 or something like that.
Yeah, about
breweries.
that.
Represents about $800 million in economic. It's a Super Bowl per year that you guys. And I've always said, you know, that you guys kind of replaced the aerospace business here in San Diego, you know, which replaced the fishing business as far as market drivers go. It's been a real economic driver here in San Diego.
Absolutely.
And continues to be. Do you guys all work together? Are you guys in solid, I mean, you know, are you guys all happy, fun partners? Or what,
I will
how's
say that
work?
it's changed over the last 10 years.
Oh, boy.
There's still a lot of that, you know, but when I opened up the brewery in 2010, there was only 32 other breweries. So it was a much smaller club, right? And they were all the brands that we know, right? I mean, I spent a lot of time actually talking with the owners of those breweries to figure out what I was doing to make sure it was right, I guess, to validate or get some guidance from those guys. Now with 160, I mean, people say, oh, have you been to this brewery, that brewery, this brewery? And I'm like, I haven't even heard of those breweries, right? So it's the club's too big, and it's also too spread out,
But
right?
you're one of the big guys in the club, though. I mean, there's a handful of people that are really heritage brands in the microbrew or craft brew business here in San Diego, and you're one of them. And you're even expanding out of here, too.
Yeah, we're still growing. You know, we're just opening up our 6th spot in Seaport Village here pretty soon. You know, we wrapped up IB at the end of last year, and you know, it's been a busy time for us. We're like the 11th largest brewery, I think, out of the 160 that you mentioned. But at one point in time, we were the tiniest of the tiny, right? Yeah. We were purposefully, we started out that way.
Are they thinning out, or are some of them just, you know, with the COVID and everything?
COVID's definitely been a big screening tool, right? I mean, because it just depends on your business model. Like, how much can you live on, right? And whether or not it's really your full-time job, that's a big thing too. You know, so some people they're like, the hobby's not worth it. They've gotten out of the business, and others where like it's not a hobby and they're just not making any money.
It's an essential part of my food group. It's liquid bread, is what I'm saying.
But not everybody thinks about it that way, and that's what's hard during the COVID time, right? When you got people who are furloughed and who are taking pay cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Craft brewers are competing for discretionary dollars, right? We're $10 6-packs is $10 that might be needed for rent.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So
This is fascinating.
Mike Hess.
Charcuterie?
Mike Hess.
I love charcuterie.
All right, stand by. We're going to find out Mike Hess's favorite beer. Yeah. And, of course, one of the greatest stories that we've got to experience is that you and your daughter. We'll talk about that. Right. Mike Hess Brewing here on the air.
Am I close up? I'm trying this.
Jeez. There he goes.
There he is.
In the air with Sully, Little Tommy, Rusty Nailz, and my favorite guest so far this year,
Wow.
Mike Hess.
That is saying a lot.
That is.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So what is your favorite? Do you have they're all, you ask James Taylor what his favorite song is.
Favorite beer.
They're all children to him.
Yeah.
What about, we all know there's a constant flow of grapefruit solace running through my veins and in my home kegerator and the Loft 100 Studios kegerator. What is your favorite beer?
Right now,
That you brew.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. I almost only drink our beer, to be quite honest.
Me
with
too.
You. I rarely go off the reservation. So I would say that, like last summer, I drank a lot of Steel Beach. That's our lager.
I love how he attaches seasons to it.
Well, you have to.
Winter of '97.
I don't know. I mean, you remember things different ways. I remember, like, where was I when I was drinking that beer, right? I don't know.
It's like a song, right?
That's my thing. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So
yes.
Steel Beach.
Yep.
So is there a boardroom, a conference room where you're all going, okay, what do we call
You're
this?
looking
Oh
at
my
it.
gosh, the beer naming thing is
Yeah.
the most ridiculous part of
Yeah.
owning a brewery because
Well,
everybody's
how
got an
did-
opinion on it.
Well, tell us, how did you guys say, okay, that's it?
Well, Steel Beach for me was easy because that's a Navy term, right? So when you're going to ship and you have a beer day, when you're out to sea for 60 or more days, you have a beer day, and usually the captain of the ship will you have a Steel Beach picnic.
That's great.
So you're on the flight deck or on the fantail, depending
Which
on the
is
size
the
of the
Steel
ship.
Beach.
And that's the Steel Beach that you're
Oh,
on, so you get the
incredible.
beer. So
Got it.
so we make that and that was when I was in, for example, that was Budweiser, right? You got a AB beer, and you were happy to get it, right?
Yeah.
Now we do Steel Beach as our 4.5% light lager, and that fits into that same type of style profile. And actually, we just sold a whole bunch of that to one of the ships in the Navy for their Steel Beach. So
And what about just
pretty
your
excited about that.
Favorite name of a beer? Not necessarily. I didn't like the beer much, but boy, Potato Chip Mountain Beer sure was.
yeah,
good
that
or
was a
whatever.
good one. I heard that
No
one.
such thing as potato
I'm
chip
trying
mountain.
here.
I was thinking about stealing that one.
Potato chip rock.
Yeah, that's right.
But favorite name?
Favorite name, I like Steel Beach, quite honestly, because it's got some memory for me. You know, we have Mandatory Fun, which is one of our seasonal releases. Actually, that's coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's another kind of a Navy term.
I have one.
I love
No, I know your favorite. I know your favorite one right now.
Go ahead.
I can tell you right now.
Sure.
Hop Cloud.
Yeah, Hop Cloud.
Cloud.
See, I told you.
I'm loving this.
I told you.
I love Hop Cloud because people love Hop Cloud, and we
Hop
sell a
Cloud.
lot
Wait
of
a
Hop
minute,
Cloud.
so how did you name Hop Cloud?
So that a lot of names come up spontaneously. That was one of these discussion things where literally we're sitting around like a group of folks. I think my wife was there and 3 or 4 of our operations and sales folks or whatever. And they're like, we're talking about the design to the person who drew the label. We're like, maybe we could have a guy with a bunch of like hops and clouds, and they're waving
Hop
their arms
Cloud.
around and like like hoppy little clouds, and then that was it.
Hop
Hop
Cloud.
Cloud.
That was
Yep.
it. Right.
Yep.
So Joe Buslaki, who owns a bunch of restaurants in San Diego,
Yeah, he does.
he told me sometimes he goes to a restaurant and when he tastes some food, he can
does a pairing?
No, he can figure out the ingredients.
Oh, wow.
So when you drink beer, maybe not yours, but someone else's beer, do you go, okay, I guess there's a lot of that, there's some of that?
Well,
I
I
mean, do you
know
do
for
that?
sure that there's malt, hops, water, and yeast. I know that those are in there. I would say that I have a palate that is refined enough to know a good or well-made beer, but I don't think that I'm a person who's picking out particular hops. And I've also seen some people who say they can pick out hops that are really charlatans that are just they knew the recipe and they're like, oh, there's a lot of Citra in that. I'm like, come on.
I went to a winery once. My girlfriend's looking at the list. She goes, "This has hints of charcoal and some." She starts naming all the stuff. I go, "I can never have a tongue, a palate like that. How is she doing it?" And about the 3rd wine, she goes, "I'm reading off this list right here in front of me."
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, we did a root beer tasting for our house-made root beer about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I brought in the kids, like my kids and a friend, actually Brian's kids came in there, right? So we had like this whole taste panel in there, and because we had like 6 different root beers. I'll be honest with you, they all tasted like root beer to me. But the kids, they were definitely picking out which one they like because we made a whole bunch for the
Too
sampling.
broody, too beery,
Mike,
too sweet.
one of the coolest things I saw one time in your studio, I call it a studio because Russ and I have done a number of shows there for a national show, is this wheat beer you brought out that was beet red,
Oh yeah,
and it was called
beet cancer.
Beet Cancer. That was the name of the beer.
Oh, that's right.
There's
Yeah.
a great, well, not so great. It's a great ending, but talk about the story behind that.
Beet Cancer was January of 2019 release.
I remember.
And I came up with the idea of doing, being involved in the world of fundraising for pediatric cancer research because our daughter, Linda, and we have 3 kids, and our middle daughter, Keely, was at that point in time like 4.5 months into treatment for osteosarcoma. And of course, the first few months, you're just trying to get your head around what that all means, and you're going, and of course, you're immediately thrust into treatment. You have no time. We went from diagnosis to chemo inside of a week. Right. So you're like thrust into that world. Not that things settled down, but it did give you some time to look into pediatric cancer and all this, components of it. And we found that the research dollars for that are very low. 4% of the total federal cancer budget goes to pediatric
Which is
cancers.
amazing, right?
Under 5%. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no, it's crazy. So you get, $1 billion that goes to cancer research.
Right.
Only 4% goes to all pediatric cancer types, and there's 13 or 14 subtypes. Anyway, my brewers, they're great guys. Paul, in particular, was one of the guys who really spearheaded that project, and he came up with the idea of doing this beet cancer beer where we put actual beets. My son, Court, and I, we actually took them home, these big bags of beets, and we sliced them all up so we could put them into the beer. And that was our first real fundraising effort at the beginning of 19 for cancer research.
Yeah, and you continued that on, and it turned out to be a great success for raising money for
Oh yeah,
pediatric
we
cancer.
raised $125,000+ in 2019. We did a little over 100,000 last year, even though the pandemic was going on. So
And we were up there shaving heads one time for
that was
the
our
same
single
cause.
biggest day. That was great. That's you talk about Russ being at the brewery. He was our MC for our St. Baldrick's head shaving event on the
Some
Saturday.
people look so good once they're shaved, but going into it, you're like, oh, don't stop now, man.
Yeah, right. Well, we raised $72,000 that one day.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was awesome.
Mike Hess Brewing. We can't. We come back. We got to talk about what he's done for local music here in San Diego. Part of that means Hess Fest 2021. We're going to talk about it.
Come on.
Hey.
Stand by, Mike
Yeah.
Hess. On the air.
I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time. I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time. When you stand and go so near, I kind of lose my mind. Blah!
That's right, it's Count Dracula singing the Cars.
Oh, you give me just what I needed. I need a son.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Welcome to 2021. This is On the Air with Sully, Little Tommy, and Russ.
Can I just say, this is what they say when you do like an audition.
Audition for Hess
When you
Fest?
hear this, thanks, we'll call you.
Yeah.
What do you, this is what that means. Just going to say, hey, Russ, thanks, we'll call you.
Oh, I'll keep working on it. I have plenty of time to practice.
Mike,
we got some time.
Mike Hess Brewing here, of course, a heritage brand in brewing here in San Diego. I got to know you from radio, then I got to know you from doing TV at your studio. And then you asked me 5 years ago, hey, what do you think about taking your band over and doing this thing we call Hess Fest? And it's interesting at the time because I'd heard this thing, but I didn't realize this was a mini
Street scene.
It was a mini street scene
Yeah.
in front of your Grimm Street location up in North Park. How did the whole thing start?
We have always wanted to do something like that. When I was at CU, we had a thing called FAC, Friday Afternoon Club, that was out on the University Memorial Terrace. So we'd get hundreds and hundreds of students and a beer truck and a band play. And so we'd been doing FACs at Miramar. And then we got to North Park and we're like, okay, let's do an anniversary party. We decided to change it up though, instead of just being like the commercial enterprise, which most anniversary parties are. We said, well, this will be a way that we can continue our philanthropic effort. And let's make it a lot of fun. So we had cornhole and bands and all of our brewery friends out there. We even offered to pay the breweries because a lot of times these festivals are like, come on and do all your work, but we're not going to give you anything. So we paid them a stipend.
But that's important. But when you talk about that, when you say brewery friends, you had other breweries there that were not part of Hess that were showing their wares and tasting their beers. And
absolutely,
and
so it's a beer festival. And what we did a really cool collaboration thing. The first couple of years we had one of our beers where we had the brewers all make an adjunct or something to put into that beer. So we were all serving our beer, which was that way we got around the license issues that the ABC has for us. The last couple of years we did a sour fest where we took our sour beer and we had people do the same type of thing. And the VIP session, they get to try 25 or 30 different unique collaboration beers. It's super fun.
It's a super fun event. I mean, I will tell you, as a guy who gets to play in front of a bunch of people a lot of times at these local events, it's one of our favorite deals every year. Yeah. So, assuming, fingers crossed, we have a 2021.
One can hope.
Am I in?
We'll talk. We'll
serious. Serious. Come on.
Sally, we'll call you.
Unbelievable.
Of course.
We'll call you.
Thanks, we'll call you.
No, Sully, I mean, you guys are everybody loves having you. When you guys come up, everybody bum rushes the stage. It's a lot of fun there. I mean, it's
usually bill collectors, though.
I paid that!
security,
so COVID's been a strange year, or 2020 was a strange year because of COVID. And you and I have talked a lot off the air just about, business survival and so on and so forth. During that process, you created one of the coolest venues, not just as a brewery, but in San Diego. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about Imperial Beach? Because I know that is. Look at the smile on his face.
I love IB.
I love IB.
No, but your IB location is really the best practices standards for opening up any event space or any. Talk about that.
It's pretty phenomenal. So we were lucky enough to find this giant 6,000+ square foot dirt lot right in the heart of Imperial Beach, right on the main drag that had never been developed, which was just crazy to me that happened. The landowners were just like, we don't know what to do with it. There was 2 owners, it was difficult to develop, but I walked in there and I was like, this is a beer garden if I ever saw one. And over the course of actually like 2+ years, we schemed and planned and got land and whatever and got plans, and then we started to build. And then COVID hit, so we shut down. The city of Imperial Beach was very friendly to us. They said, listen, just continue operating, get through summer, and now in about 6 weeks, so basically from Labor Day of 2020 until the middle of October, we built. But we were able to stay open because of COVID. We had street side seating, which let us continue to have a little bit of revenue in the door while we were building. And now we built out this amazing beer garden that is like a crown jewel of IB.
Is it by the water or is it by the drive-in?
No, so we're on the drive. No, we're not on the drive. We're on the water. We're on Seacoast and Date.
Wow.
We're like half a block north of the pier. We're just south of the Pier South Hotel. We're on the west side of Seacoast, and Seacoast is that main drag that runs north-south there. I mean, we couldn't be in a more prime location.
And let me tell you this about Imperial Beach. I grew up in Chula Vista, 20, 30, 40 years ago. IB wasn't really the place to be, but it is now. They cleaned up IB. IB is beautiful.
The gentrification of IB rivals almost any part of the city, maybe next to the gas lamp back in the heyday when Horton Plaza first came out. If you haven't been to Imperial, I don't want to say don't go because it's like kind of a quiet thing.
It is.
But it is really unbelievable
I love
to go
it.
down there where you can have a Riviera experience right here in San Diego, in an area of San Diego that you didn't think even existed.
Especially with a guitar player just in the corner, just playing quietly.
We'll call you. We'll call you.
Well, we actually wired the place for sound, so we have 2 different spots where musicians can just plug in, and then they're on the amps, the speakers all over the whole place. So I mean, we put a lot of time and thought into building this place out.
The good
Wish I would have played better.
Bad news is there's no checks to your way. But you can throw your guitar case.
It's beer. It's a little potato chip mountain.
Yeah.
What's up for 2021 for you? Any major expansion plans you can discuss? Any new beers coming out?
Here's what I say: you're not a growth company if you're not growing, right? So I think we're always looking for good opportunities. I definitely know what kind of venues we're looking for. Like these outdoor places, like the one that we're wrapping up now on Seaport Village, which is got a lot of outdoor space, and we're on the water. That's the kind of thing that fits our vibe and what we're trying to do best. So I don't know, if we see something good, we'll move on it.
What do you tell that person watching you right now saying, wow, he's living my dream. I want to make beer too. What can you tell that person that's wanting to do what you just did?
Well, they should switch dreams.
You should try to get better rested.
I would say that be careful what you wish for. It's a lot of work. I mean, I got into this thinking, I was in financial services before this, and I thought, we'll open up a brewery and I'll get to spend more time with the kids and do. No.
Not
it's
at
all day, all work. I mean, if you were running an operation like we are, my wife Linda and I, literally everybody that's working for the company, we work our fannies off. It's a lot of work. And as the owner, when you're ultimately, the buck stops with you type of thing, and you've got a responsibility like I feel that I do for 80 families who are relying on us to do a good job at running this company. It's from lock to lock. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning and you go to bed at 11:30 at night, and you're working to some level the entire time, all the time.
But the beer breaks are nice.
Yeah, you can't beat the beer benefits, that's for sure, right?
That's cool.
Before let's head, how many tasting room locations do you have now in and around San Diego and other areas?
Well, we have a total of 6 locations, including the original spot in Miramar. So, but OB, North Park, IB, and Seaport Village. Plus, we have the one up in the Bay Area.
And is Grimm Street still there?
Of course, yeah. Grimm is the mothership. I mean, no Grimm, no brewery, right? That's where we're making all the beer.
Mike, we want you to come back with us at some point.
I'd love to.
Unbelievable. Mike Hess. Mike Hess Brewing. What's your website if you want to see it?
Mike Hess Brewing.
What's the name of the company?
Try to keep it easy.
That's it. On the air. Happy New Year. We're back, and Russ has completed a complete tray of potato chip mountain there.
Thank you, Kacey McKinnon.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike Hess.
Yeah. And our musical. What's the name of my band? We'll call you.
I'm looking tired and feeling quite sick. I felt like there was something missing in my day-to-day life.